Hey, friends, welcome back to your Joyful Order podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Martinez. Today's conversation is a deeply tender and powerful one. We're talking about something many of us experience, but don't always know how to put it into words, and that's waiting on God in the middle of heartbreak. What do you do when life just doesn't turn out the way that you hoped? When prayers feel unanswered, when restoration hasn't come, when you're holding on to faith, but the pain is still very real. My guest today, Carmen Meurer, shares her personal story through estrangement from her daughter, a season that brought deep grief, rejection, and loss, but also a profound encounter with God's presence, his healing, and faithfulness in the waiting. If you've ever found yourself in a season where you're asking, God, where are you in all of this? Then this conversation is for you. Hey everyone, I'm Leslie Martinez, and you're listening to your Joyful Order podcast. Each week, I will bring you joyful stories that will motivate and inspire you, and at the same time, bring order to your everyday life. Let's just say the show will be a mixture of preaching and teaching with a kick of motivation from your girl here. Welcome to your Joyful Order podcast. Welcome back to your Joyful Order podcast. I am so honored to have Carmen with us today. So, Carmen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Now, I have to, as before we like hit record here, I did your intro, Carmen. And as we got on, I was like, wait a minute, I think I butchered her last name. So I'm gonna correct your last name here because I know I butchered it in the intro, but I want to welcome Carmen Meurer to the podcast.
You got it.
Yes, I nailed it. Yes, thank you. Now, before we jump in, Carmen, I love to start on a high note, on a joyful note. So I want to know what is bringing you joy this season of your life?
Well, it's not the weather in Michigan. So, there's lots of other things though. Been just doing some fun things with neighbors throughout the winter, doing some water walking, enjoying nature. We love going out to eat, meeting new people, and traveling. So those are the main things.
I love it. Now, are you guys still like lots of snow there in Michigan right now?
The snow is actually gone,
Oh,
but now
okay.
it's 25 and raining,
Oh, wow.
which is odd.
Well, here in SoCal, I think it was like 82 yesterday.
Yeah.
So we've been having great weather, although it is supposed to rain for us this weekend here in California. We have
Oh,
like the full,
shoot.
yeah, we have the April showers, but see, our rain is not 25 degrees. Like it rains
Yeah.
here and it's maybe in the 60s.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yes, much better. But you got a beautiful lake by you. You're in Ann Arbor, was it Ann Arbor?
In Holland.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yes, I'm 15 minutes from Lake Michigan.
Okay. So you got
So,
beautiful
we're
views out
coming
there.
upon our good season. Yeah.
I love it, love it. Well, Carmen, we have a very great topic to talk about today, which is
Yeah.
just kind of like faith in the waiting. And I know this is a topic that many listeners will be able to relate to is what do you do in the waiting? You're praying and believing for something. You're putting your faith in God that restoration and a relationship will come, that your finances will have breakthrough, that you'll be healed, that there's so many things that we pray for and believe for, but this waiting season can be challenging for us. So that's kind of our topic for today. But before we really dive into such a heavy topic, I want to know right now for you to just give us a little bit of your story. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the season that you're in that waiting.
Okay. Well, my husband's retired, this year, so, that's been a really fun new thing. I work part-time, but we love meeting new people, going out to eat, traveling, those kind of things that I mentioned. So we've been able to do more of that, which we totally enjoy, and, can't wait to book the next can't wait to book the next trip. So some of those are the main things. I love photography, I love going out into nature and, just taking in God's beauty. Because especially even on our trips too, it's just so amazing. We were out in Canada in Jasper and seeing, all the burned trees and, there's just so many things out there that, you just see God's presence and healing and all of those things. So I think that's those kind of things give me hope. It give me a kind of a reason to keep going. I have felt that way for a long time now, but there was a time that I really didn't too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, in the season that you're in right now, you're waiting for a big breakthrough from God. You've been
Yeah.
in a rough kind of several years now, right? You have a strained
Yes,
relationship with your daughter, and you've been just in that season of waiting and praying and believing for restoration. So, can you speak just a little bit about that
sure.
season that you're in?
Sure. It's been 11 years since we've seen or heard from our daughter, and, of course, that was very difficult in the beginning, but just as I am be sharing in the book that I'm writing, God met me there, every day when I was challenged with something or felt hopeless or didn't know what my next steps were because I wasn't a mother anymore, so to speak, and he just met me in each one of those challenges, whether it was through another person, through a scripture I wrote, nature, so many different things. So the devotional that I'm writing is a story. Each story is a page of hope, basically, how he brought me peace during a difficult time. And I wouldn't have made it through without him. No way.
Yeah, I bet. Now, you and I, we came together through a discipleship program, that we connected, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But
Yeah.
I think if I recall, you've been a believer for a very long time, right? Even before your estrangement with your
Oh,
daughter.
yes.
Okay,
Yes. Oh, yes.
so in going through this season that you're in, of waiting, I want to kind of go back a little bit to before the estrangement occurred with your daughter, in
Okay.
that what your relationship looked like with God at that time,
Okay.
um, and versus your relationship with God now. And I want to kind of paint a little bit of a picture here, because I've shared openly I have an estranged relationship with my father too. And I want to say I think before the relationship became estranged, my faith was weak. And even though I have not had restoration with my father, I look back over these like nearly 30 years now that I've been estranged from my father. And I say that even though I haven't reconciled the relationship with my father, my faith is so much stronger. And I want to know like what your evolution of your faith has been before, during, and where you're at now.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good point, and I would say mine is definitely so much stronger now. Not that I didn't think it was, but when you spend months on your knees, begging to have something to look forward to and having him just meet you there. And then even through COVID too, it was like, Jesus time in my chair, 2 hours a day. Well, we don't all have an opportunity to do that every day. But I spent a lot of time there. I have tons of journal entries and tons of studies and books that I read. And now looking back at them and through them as I've been writing my book, is really just amazing, that my life is moving forward. I've been doing things to, give women hope in their challenging times ever since, and, that was his new mission for me.
Okay, during this time, what did you have to surrender in order just to keep trusting God?
I'm not sure that I surrendered because I was I mean, I did, I just said, "You have to give me something because I have no purpose." And I heard him very clearly say to me, "Just take one day at a time, one step at a time," because I was very overwhelmed.
Mhm.
And so I started with baby steps of volunteering and just a lot of different things. I ended up starting a nonprofit for women here in town locally that was part of Christine Kane's Propel Women chapter. Went on to do a nonprofit, and then now I'm writing this book. So each time when I something came to an end, he put the next thing right in front of me and has just given me purpose in this time. And this will be really the first time that I'm sharing the estrangement story. The other things were just for women who, were having a rough time in any kind of circumstance. So I had a friend who I told her that I wanted to write this, but I was afraid to, and she gave me the whole "do not fear" uh, speech. So here I am, trying
Yeah,
not to live in fear.
I love it. So during this time I know with my estrangement with my father, and when I had asked, "What did you have to surrender?" There's so much I think we have to surrender. For me, and this is what I wanna ask, if maybe you ever, thought about this or felt led to, like, "God, I have to surrender this." First, I had to surrender my father completely to God and say, "God, I can't change him, only you can," you know? Uh,
Right.
if it is intended for him to be a part of my life, I am surrendering that to him. But for me, I had to surrender not having a father, and that was hard for me.
Yes.
That was very hard. It took me years of because there was always, like, that hope, right? And we wanna
Yes.
believe, we wanna have hope, and you don't wanna get to that point where you say, "You know what? I now have to maybe accept a reality that may or may not be there." And I don't wanna crush any dreams. I am speaking for me personally. This
Yes.
is after, like, 30 something years, again,
Yes.
where I just kept surrendering my father. "Lord, I give you my dad. Soften his heart, open his eyes, let him surrender to you." I remember that was my prayer. And then I just had this crushing moment where I was journaling, and I felt like I had to surrender, like, having a relationship with my dad. And I said,
Mm,
I don't wanna keep being, like, crushed anymore, you know?
mm,
And at this point, it's not about me having a relationship with him. It's about him having a relationship with God. And if
yeah.
that comes full circle to me, I feel that I just need to give up the idea of a relationship to wholeheartedly surrender my father to God, right? Has anything like that ever come across where you just are like, God, I have to surrender?
Well, I definitely surrendered her to him because, I know that I can't fix it,
Yeah.
and I know it's all gonna be in God's timing. So, definitely, I definitely surrendered, "God, this is more than I can handle. This is, way beyond my control. It's not what I want." We had a great relationship our whole entire lives, up until then,
Mhm,
and I know that he sees and knows that,
mhm,
and so I know that, in his timing, things will change, but I didn't feel that way all along.
mhm,
That was a lot of surrendering, a lot of, just reading about hope and trust. I mean, I just utterly trust him. There's just no other way, you can, kinda keep going with this for so long,
mhm.
and, I've given placed her and her husband in his hands many, many times,
Mhm.
and, that is definitely feels like the only way you can do it, but it's peaceful. It brings peace to me doing that.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I especially just the idea of trusting God without having control over the outcome. And that's where the peace comes. It comes
Yeah.
our faith in God and just being reminded, like, God, I'm gonna have peace about this because we can't control what the
Yeah, there's choices.
yeah, others' choices. And it's hard because we want one outcome, but something else is taking place, and it's trusting God. trusting God in timing, trusting God in protection, and it's not just protection of your loved one, but protection of yourself also.
Yeah.
And I know, like, I had to remind myself of that many, many times. Is like, clearly he's not the man that he needs to be in our life right now. And I need to trust God in the timing and the molding and all of that. And if it is intended for him to be in our life, then God will allow it. But at this moment, it's not there. And having just that trust is so I guess like peaceful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hearts have to be changed, and you and I can't change
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Um, and so there's a lot of relief in surrendering that and setting that free and just knowing that, it's in his hands, and I wanna be the Carmen that I am, not being sad. I wanna be the person who's happy and loves to be around people, and I finally had to, you know, beg for that again.
Yeah.
It's like, this isn't my burden to carry anymore.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's a huge shift in mindset when we
Yes.
realize this isn't for me to carry. It really is like a just like a weight taken off of you, right?
Yes, totally.
Yes. Now, was there a turning point for you maybe where forgiveness played a role in that healing process also?
Absolutely. I write that in one of my stories. I read a book, The Book of Forgiving,
Mm.
and I went through a whole process. They had a lot of steps to
Mhm.
take in that book, and it wasn't just her. There was other people involved that were I felt betrayal, I felt all kinds of different emotions, and, going through that book the way I did was huge, huge for me, because I felt really s you feel really stuck if you can't forgive,
Mhm.
and I didn't wanna be stuck anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Now, can you tell me a little bit about how you kind of navigated the grief and the rejection as a mother?
Not well for a while.
Yeah.
I guess, when you try everything, this is your child, and you think it should be easy for you to reconnect and forgive each other and come back, and it's not. It wasn't. It hasn't been, but she's also got some control in other areas that I can't control, so, I think for me, it was just that little bit at a time, just saying, "This isn't serving me well, it's not serving anyone else well. I wanna move forward, be the person who I am, and help impact other women in their journeys," and that brought me, so much more peace and hope, and, I think it's always that way when you're, connecting with other people and their stories, and you can relate and share good things with them. That was just, the healing journey for me, I guess, um, which took a few years, a little bit at a time, but, now, writing this book for the first time, I'm hoping to, not only get my story out, but yeah, just let people know that, it wasn't easy for me either, but you can do it.
Yeah.
God's walking alongside you, and we can pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and and really I feel, very healed from that, and, that was huge.
Yeah. Wow. Now, for someone listening right now who just feels like they're barely holding on, similar to you, they're walking through a rough season and just really holding on to hope right now. What were more some of the like practical things that helped you stay anchored in your faith? If you can give prime examples, I know one of them you mentioned about writing your devotion, but what were some other more practical things that really helped you?
Well, one big thing I talk about too in my book is that I had to stop talking about it, and that was keeping me down. I had some really close friends that rode the journey with me, but we got to the point where, if you're just hanging on by a thread and you don't know what to do and you keep talking about it and thinking about it, you're not gonna become free of that. It felt like bondage, it felt like there's chains there. And so I just needed to change what I talked about. I needed to start talking about, I'm gonna believe that this will change in the right time. Um, speaking some of the scriptures as truth and just really changing my attitude. Another part of it was changing my Facebook feed, right? You're seeing things that are negative, and I wanted to get anything out of that feed and put all, Christian, people that I would follow and, just lots of different things like that, things that would bring me joy.
Yeah.
I would just, dig into those things all the time, and that's really I have this little postcard, "Hold on to feel what feels like sunshine," and I colored this years ago, and I still have it because I did a whole journal entry about what's gonna make me feel good, and I made a list, and I just started doing all that stuff, and slowly, you work your way out of it.
Yeah. Now, did you get any type of like professional counseling or
I
support
did.
also?
I did, yes. I had lots of counseling over the years, but I think that the best, counseling I ended up with was EMDR therapy. That
Mm-hmm.
was kind of my last one and kind of a final closure that I think even helped my body heal because I had tons of body pain and things like that too from being in that suffering for so long.
Yeah.
So, I had to go on depression medication that I had never had to do before, but you need to fix yourself and
Yeah.
you don't want this to ruin your life.
I've talked about this before. Even I did a episode uh a few back, I think like 4 or 5 episodes back about forgiveness and actually what it does to your body as well. Like it's not just a mental and spiritual attack against us, but it starts to change our physiology. It starts to
Yes.
impact our brain, our thinking, and then it starts to, age us internally.
Definitely.
Yeah, so a lot of that, and that's where, you had mentioned you had to forgive, and that was a big part of it. But carrying the weight of it, it does start to, expose itself physically in our bodies and learning how to do that. I'm so glad that you shared with getting outside support. It's not just praying and believing and all
Right.
those things. It is there's people that God put in our path to help us
Yeah.
because we can't just do it by ourselves.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember 1 month of December that I was on the couch the whole month. I was in such body pain, I couldn't move. And why? I mean, it went away, but there was a book I read about issues in your tissues too, but that's like another story. So yeah, I mean, I just, I wanted to move on. I wanted to be better and I looked for any resource that I could because I knew I had a lot to live for.
Yeah. Now, going back a little bit too, and this is where maybe we can share a little bit about our connection story because
Yeah.
you and I, we both did Christine Kane's the Propel discipleship program, and we were in the same cohort together. And Carmen and I had like a crash course of bonding one night. Yes. So Carmen, Carmen, we're talking about you raining and being in California or being in Michigan. So Carmen's first visit to California for our discipleship like kickoff. It's 3 days of what do we call it? Like it's like a conference basically, right?
Yeah, yeah, I would say
Okay.
that.
Yeah, so we had like a 3-day conference. So Carmen's here for the first time, California. It is pouring rain. This was is it been no, how many
2
years has it been
years
now? 2 years
in
now, right?
January, yep.
Yeah, 2 years ago, I think we had like a El Nino hit and it was just crazy rain. Carmen had an unfortunate incident. You wanna share what happened to you, Carmen?
The afternoon that we arrived in California, I was getting dropped off to my Airbnb, and I slipped and fell on the porch and broke my wrist. It
Yes.
was before the conference even started, and I was headed to an Airbnb that I had rented for myself alone and broke my right wrist, which is my which is my dominant hand,
Yes.
and couldn't do anything for myself.
Yes.
So,
And then
wha
and you also were in a unfortunate Airbnb.
yes, yes, that's another story. I wanted out anyway, but that gave me the reason to leave.
So Carmen showed up to our event with a broken wrist, not knowing it was broken,
Not knowing that yet.
not knowing it was broken, just thinking that she really hurt her wrist.
It was slowly swelling and swelling.
Yes, and she sat through an entire day of worship, of speaking, of breakouts, and I remember our first like, when we first met, you had ice on your hand, and we're like, "What happened?" And yeah, she's like, I fell and I slipped," and then later that night, we've created a group chat, and we find out that Carmen is in the ER, and she got an X-ray, and it's broken. So then she shows up the next day fully cast in a sling, and she can't do anything, and she had shared that she, was in a horrible situation at her Airbnb. It was a room, and she didn't get much sleep and all this stuff. So, Carmen came and became my roommate for that night in my hotel.
I was begging anybody to take me in. I couldn't brush
Anybody,
my teeth. I couldn't get
"Can you help
dressed.
me wash my hair and get dressed?" So, I
Yeah,
came to Carmen's aid and, welcomed her into my, hotel room. Thank God I had 2 beds.
I know.
I would have brought you in even if I had one and said, "Carmen,
Oh
we just
gosh.
met and we're gonna sleep together for the first night."
Yep.
I normally required a paid dinner for that at least, but,
For sure. I
but we
wasn't
went through
in shape to do it when I was there, but
yeah. So Carmen and I had a crash course of, some very intimate, bonding of what we didn't know would be the next several months of continued bonding though in our group.
yeah.
So I do wanna speak to that though, and that's where I was trying to say like, okay, did going through that help you at all also? Because I know it helped me in my faith walk, not necessarily like with my, circumstance with my father, in going through the
Right.
discipleship program. But I think that that was just like a huge component to my faith. So, do you feel that walking through that, like, how did that shape you in all of this?
Well, I mean, between that and the whole conference, it was, just so amazing. I think I was just going through some of the papers that we did the other day because I was using some of the stuff in my journal, and I just remember, one of Christine Kane's messages when we were at the one church. But really just, to be together, with all women that you're kind of in the same shoes with a little bit, but not, getting to know each other and hearing about everybody's faith and all the great teachings that we did. I mean, I wanna go again. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so cool, and to be able to still stay in touch with everybody a little bit too. I just, it was just a very heartwarming experience to find this lovely lady who who would take me in. But, I mean, really, I was just bombing in on someone, so but, I mean, it's just so great to be surrounded by women of faith who are, sharing, uh, good things and, learning together. Was just talking about our rocks the other day. Remember we had to
Oh,
write
yes.
the first day, and my word
Yes.
was sanctuary. I kind of wrote a whole thing about that afterwards too, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And,
just
my word was hope that I painted on my rock.
oh, it was.
Yeah.
I like that.
And and I remember, and see, like, it for me in this whole, faith journey and waiting on God. I think there was so much clarity for me in going through that season of the cohort. Um, in a lot of like the speakers and the messages and even just the coaching, there was a shift in my view and perspective of a lot of things relating to like culture, diversity, inclusion,
Yeah.
like so many different things of really opening my eyes to how Jesus views people. And it really allowed me to it actually started a fire in me where I wanted to start learning more of the theology of
Mhm.
scripture as opposed to just the feel good stuff of scripture. You know, a lot of times we read
Yeah.
scripture and it's like, "Oh, this is great." It's like that motivational quote, you know?
Yeah.
But then it kinda kicked off of like, "No, I wanna understand how this was written. I wanna understand the context, the theology behind this."
Mm.
And that's when I started to really unravel scripture and text to what was truly being said. And it's not
Yeah.
always the motivational, inspirational quotes that we think. There's there's meaning and intention
Right,
behind it.
digging deeper into the story.
Yes.
I remember laying in the beds, you telling me about all the Bibles you had and all these different versions, and I'm like, "I have an NIV, that's all I got." And I came home and I ordered on Amazon all the different versions, and I remember you telling me you'd lay them all out when you were writing things, and I have all kinds of different versions, in the book that I'm writing too, and my editor said, "Well, can you make them all one, and then you don't have to list them every time?" I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
I can't I
Good
can't."
for
So
you.
you awakened me to a lot of that, plus, changing the alarm on my phone, remember? That's just a crazy thing, but
I gave Carmen a crash course on some, just like iPhone, little hacks there.
yeah.
Oh, I don't even remember about the, sharing the Bible stuff with you. I remember the alarm thing.
Yeah, well, may that could have been after we were back home,
I
maybe?
it
Maybe?
could have been too, it very well.
Possibly.
But well, I'm glad I kinda shared that with you, but and that's where, like, there was so many different takeaways from
Yeah.
that, but I think overall connection and really just growing our faith in a different way to having, you know, opening our eyes and having different perspectives. And you had shared through that a little bit of your relationship, your estranged relationship, and I think it was still very heavy on your heart at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so you can tell you know it hit very hard. You were still kind of in the thick of processing all of that, but now seeing, you now and even the fact that that discipleship, that season that we were in where you were, you know, processing a lot of the stuff and carrying that now what kind of evolved from that is this devotion that you've written for
Mhm.
parents with estranged relationships. So I want you, I know you've touched a little bit about it, but I want you to give us details of it, Carmen. Tell us what's inside this book and remind me, is it out yet or is it coming out?
No, it's in the hands of my editor still.
Okay. Okay.
I just wrote the last devotion this week, actually. So, it's in the hands of my editor, but, really what I try to do in this devotional, well, for one, I made it 28 days, and I did that because I wanted it to be a multiple of 7 because 7 is used so many times in the Bible for creation and forgiveness and those kind of things, so that's how I landed at that number, and I wanted it to be something that didn't need to be read in a certain order, because I don't like devotions that I have to follow along day by day and then I miss one. And then I feel bad about myself and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I kinda start by saying, "Read this at your own pace, any page, any order." And just, because each one's a different subject, maybe that subject is what you're challenged with that particular day. I have, I my first one starts with Father's Day, how we felt on Mother's Day too, but Father's Day and Mother's Day every year without I mean, our daughter is our only child, so there's no other children in our life. And so, I speak into that. Talk about a few things when she was, younger, the different opportunities I had throughout. I was asked to be a mentor mom in my church during that time, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So, there's just, all different scenarios that came along that I questioned or I was having a hardship, and when, someone or something brought came to me from God, how it just kinda renewed my strength and kept me going, and so I think the bottom line of the reason I'm doing it is because I want someone to feel like they have someone next to them on their journey with this, because it feels very alone. You don't usually know other people that are close to you in that situation, and, my friends got tired of talking about it.
Yeah.
And, I could understand that too. I think that's a lesson that I learned in empathy, as well along the way. And I think I've become more empathetic because I knew what I needed and I wasn't getting it.
Mhm.
So, not to place blame, but you're just, when you're in a crushed situation. So, yeah, I just have, just each one is just a different story. Might have been a Bible study I was doing, like one of mine is called Seeing Beauty in the Ashes. So they're all kind of scripture based, and, I talk about how getting away is good. Just a lot of different things that were journeys along the way for me that I feel like I remember in church one time they do that jar where, these pebbles, you got these boulders and these little pebbles, there are all these little pebbles of things that added up that helped fill my bucket again,
Mhm.
really. And so I just needed to keep moving forward with those things. And so when I dig back the journals now, if someone's in my shoes that I was in so long ago and I can have them feel like they are understood, their feelings are understood, and there's somebody that they might feel like they know by reading, 'cause I am pretty myself. Um, I just have my website underway, and I haven't put this on there yet, but I wanna invite people to be able to email me, because I know sometimes you just wanna talk to somebody that's in those shoes, and I don't wanna be someone that's behind this big door that you can't crack. Um, because I did a blog a while ago, and I had people reaching out to me all the time, and so I'm no counselor by any means, but but I just want people to, feel good, feel confident that they're not alone, and, that someone kinda sees their heart hurting and loves them.
Oh, that's so beautiful, Carmen. Thank you for that. I'm excited to support you and look at your devotion when it comes out. I would love to get a copy and be able to, kind of read it through myself too. Shared my story of rejection and all that, and
Yeah.
it's very different, as far as like,
Right.
yeah, but that the perspective of what it was written for. I'm on the flip side of it. However, I'm sure that there can be so much value in that for so many different people that are, you know, not just in a strange relationship too, but just in that season of waiting. I want you to close with this, Carmen. What would you say to someone that is, in that season of waiting, and what does trusting God's goodness look like when the outcome is still unknown for you? What would you say to that person?
Well, number 1, hang in there. Just You have to just keep going. Things are gonna get better. Do things that you love too, so that you're not buried in just the hurt all the time. I mean, it still hurts me too, you know? I'm around my friends and their kids and their grandkids. For a while, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Now I can.
Mhm.
Um, just be you, live your life the way that you would always did, and try not to let this affect your everyday, 'cause it does for a long time, I get that, um, but you have a lot of you to live.
Yeah. Oh, I love
And so if you can, get the help that you need, medications you need, whatever, join groups. There are Facebook groups that talk about estrangement that I've been a part of. I really don't follow them anymore, but they were helpful for a while.
that.
Just do anything that you can to surround yourself with good things that are reminding you of it constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so good. And I think it's important to know too that there are different kind of phases to it. At least that's how I've
for
experienced
sure.
and that you need to seek what you need in that season too. Like
Totally.
counseling, a support group, you kind of move on from that. You got what you need in that season and it helps you to kind of fill that void in that season of what you need. Um
Definitely.
yeah, and over 30 years, there's so many different things that have helped me fill that
Right.
void. Like you said, that base of the rocks, like you're just filling the rock, like in this season, I need this. In this season, I need this. It's being aware of that too. So, well, Carmen,
And it's
man,
okay.
yeah,
It's okay to need those
yes,
things.
yes.
It's
I
normal.
I want to say I want to say this, and I hope that the listeners hear me on this. It's not okay to not need something, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
you just trying to go at this alone
It
and
wasn't worth
trying to just say, like, no, we're putting all our faith in God. We're putting all of it there. Yes. But you can't do it alone. God has created us to be in community, to help and love and support each other as you put your trust fully on Him. But you can't do this alone. It's very difficult, and pending where, the listeners where you are, it may not be that you're estranged or rejected, but you're waiting. Look for help. Even just you listening to this podcast is a way to, kinda fill a little rock in there of what you need and take what you can. So Carmen, this has been such a meaningful conversation. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your
Yeah,
vulnerability. I know this is a difficult subject to talk about. It's still fresh and emotions rise and stuff, but I just thank you for your obedience to being open for conversations about this.
sure. And thanks for having me.
Oh, yes, no, for sure. But can you share with the listeners where they can find you and maybe what the time frame of when your book will be out?
Yeah, the easiest place to find me is probably gonna be my website, which is carmenmeurer.com, and I'm sure Leslie will put that in the show notes. My book is called The Wilderness Between: Stories of Hope for Parents on the Journey of Estrangement. Like I said before, it's in the editor's hands now. I have an artist who has designed the cover and the pages, which I'm really looking forward to being able to share with people. Hoping for a Father's Day release, which would be super cool, that because the first story is about Father's Day. I'm not quite sure yet if we'll be able to hit that target, but somewhere in that early summer area is when it sounds like it will be out. And so if you go on my website, you can subscribe if you would like to for updates. That's because I'm keeping everybody kind of, I mean, I'm not, maybe every 3 weeks or something, sending an email on what's happening and so forth. And so you can certainly do that there if you'd like.
Awesome. I can't wait. And Carmen, can I just say I'm so proud of you. Like I
Oh, thank you.
having known the story of what you started sharing 2 years ago and your obedience to releasing this book, I'm so proud of you and I'm so excited for this book. I know it's like birthing something into the world.
I hope
So
so. People tell me my editor said this is so needed. In fact, someone gave me a scholarship to start working with her when she told them what I was writing about. So
I
that was kind of cool.
Yeah, so see,
Yeah.
God already is opening the doors for you in that.
Hmm.
Well, again, thank you so much, Carmen. And to you, my friends that are listening to this conversation today, if you are in a season of waiting, I just want to remind you that God is not absent in your silence. He is so present with you right now. He's present in your process. He is near to you in your pain, and he's still working, even when you can't see it. So, if this podcast has been encouragement to you, will you just take a moment and share it with a friend, leave a review, or subscribe to the podcast because it truly helps this message to get out to more women who just need it. So, if you haven't connected with me, make sure that you follow me over on Instagram or visit my website for more resources. There are free digital resources and workbooks up on my website, shopjoyfulorder.com, and all the show notes for you to connect with Carmen. You can find everything there in the show notes, all the links. And until next time, friends, keep chasing joy. Bye.